I'm going to be doing a 100 subscriber giveaway when I reach 100 subscribers. I'm at like 27 right now. So if you guys would like to enter that giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe. And then once I get to 100, I'll post an announcement video, and then you'll probably just have to like comment on it if you want to win, and then you could win something. I'm thinking about doing like a Morphe palette or something to give away. So yeah. So right now, I filmed this video like 4 times, and it just has not been up to par anytime I filmed it, which is kind of frustrating, but I really want to make this video good, because eyeshadow palettes are like, sorry you can't see my face, you can only see my hands. Eyeshadow palettes are like my actual favorite part of makeup. Face palettes in general and eyeshadow palettes, I really am just obsessed with. I really, really love them, and I love collecting them and looking at them and playing with them and doing things with them. So I really want to make this video perfect for you guys. So I'm hoping you like this video. If you do, please like and subscribe. And if you don't, it's totally fine, because I probably won't like this one either, and I probably will never post it like the last 4. So here we go. First, this is just little Ulta palette. So it opens, and the eyeshadows are here. I used this once for a look, and it's actually not bad. And then it says Hello Beautiful, and it used to have stuff in here like a lip gloss and stuff, and it has 2 blushes. Oh, maybe that's a highlight. That's not a very good highlight. This isn't a great palette. It was only $10, and I think I bought it with the intention of doing like a drugstore thing, like a drugstore makeup tutorial, but that never happened. So here we are now, and I really don't use this. But it was only $10, so. Next is the Too Faced Totally Cute palette. This is totally cute. Like, look at these colors. Are you kidding? This, like, the blues and the greens and the pinks and everything. I really, really, really like this palette, and I love that you get the stickers to, like, customize it. I think that's so cute. Next is the Too Faced Cocoa Contour Chiseled to Perfection palette. This was my first ever, like, contouring anything. My mom got this for me for Christmas last year, and you can see I used this kind of, it's called Dark Cocoa. I used the Dark Cocoa shade. It still smells like chocolate. I used the Dark Cocoa shade quite a bit, and I started dipping into Medium Cocoa too. This Pop of Light shade is really bad, but I pull from this white shade a lot to set my under eyes. It's a really, really, really beautiful, like, setting powder. So I love this. I'll always love this, even if I don't use it as much anymore. Okay, moving right along, we have the BH Cosmetics Galaxy Chic palette. Ooh. So this palette is actually just absolutely stunning. It is baked eyeshadows, and I bought from BH Cosmetics because I'd never played around with baked eyeshadows, and I kind of wanted to play with them, see if I liked how to use them, see if I liked the formula, and BH is a perfect place to do that because they're incredibly cheap. So you have pretty much every color you could possibly need. The only thing about this is it is an all shimmer palette. Baked shadows I don't think come in matte shades. So because of that, it's hard to do an entire look with this, but I just think, like, especially with these shades where, like, you can have the swirls and stuff, oh, I just think that is so beautiful. I'm obsessed with this palette, and the packaging is super cute. Next, we have the Anastasia Glow Kit in That Glow. You can see it's this palette didn't really work out for me. This shade hit hard pan, and I'm not sure why, because I never did anything to it. And these shades were never buttery, never really creamy. This palette, I think I just got a bad formula, because everyone else who has this palette absolutely loves it. It just didn't work for me, which is fine. It's totally fine. This is the Shade and Light Eye Quad by Kat Von D. This is in the plum shade. This was in my collective haul video I just posted. I'll put that in the cards. But you can kind of see, it's just so powdery. It's actually not that horrible of a palette, I guess. Like, the pigmentation is okay, but I just can't deal. Even this, like, packaging is just covered in powder. I can't deal with the powderiness of this. So this might not be in my collection for a lot longer. Okay, next we have the e.l.f. Baked Eyeshadow Palette. I bought this so long ago. I can't even get it open. There we go. I bought this so long ago, and I can honestly say I have not used it on my eyes. I've only ever swatched it. It swatches really, really pretty, and I definitely should use it more, but for some reason, these shades just never call to me. I think when you have a collection like this, it's kind of hard. Things get lost, I think. This is a sleek makeup highlighting palette, the Solstice palette. This is way too overhyped. Don't waste your money on this. It was like $14, but all of the actual, like, highlighting shades that aren't the cream are super, super dry, especially this. You can, like, hear how dry it is. It's not even that pretty of a glow. Like, listen. it shouldn't sound like that. And yeah, this yellow one barely even shows up, and then this cream shade is chunky, chunky, chunky. So I wouldn't waste your money on this. I don't know why all the beauty gurus are talking about this Sleek Solstice, but it's not great. Next, I think I got this in a BoxyCharm. This is the Pure Soiree Diaries palette. It's a really pretty neutral palette. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it, but I do like it. I like the kind of ranges, and if I'm doing like a really simple day, I used this in my testing out new makeup get ready with me. I can link that in the cards as well. I really, really do like this, but I just think it's a little too boring, so I don't always reach for it, because, I don't know. It's a little boring, I'm not gonna lie. This is the Kat Von D Alchemist palette. The packaging, look at the rainbow. It's so pretty. And the inside does not disappoint. You have 4 duochrome shades in here. There is a green, a blue, a purple, and a pinky color. I definitely use the purple shade the most because I have a purple lipstick that this looks fantastic on as a lip topper. But I've dabbled in all of these. They're really, 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 really nice shadows, and I really like the amount. I'll get to another palette in a little bit that I think maybe has too much duochrome, but this one is like a really good amount of duochrome. Very manageable. Next, I have the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Volume 2 palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm. Let me open it. I really don't use these bottom shades as much, the darker shimmers, but I have been using the crap out of these top 3 shimmers. I think they are so beautiful, and they go on really, really, really nice to the eye. Next, I have this little Sephora palette. I bought this, I think because it was on sale, honestly. It was probably only like 10 bucks, and I liked the little triangles. This is a cute palette, but I can honestly say it just kind of has been lost in my collection, sadly. Next is the Makeup Revolution Golden Bar palette. Peep Too Faced, who just duped their dupe, which I think is so funny. Too Faced is so petty sometimes, but this is a really, really nice palette. If you really want to just like have some eyeshadows to play with, there's a really good mix of matte and shimmers, and these shades are amazing, especially for a beginner. This is all you're gonna need, honestly. Like, these are the only eyeshadows you're gonna need for a neutral look. I really, really, really recommend this palette to people who are just starting out in makeup. Another little mini Sephora palette. I've used this one a little bit more than the other one, especially these shimmer shades in here. This rose gold shade is really beautiful. I don't think this is available on their website anymore, but for, like, if you can find it, or if I can find it, I'll link it below. I'm going to link all the products below, which is going to take me a year. But if you do, this would be really good for, like, a niece or nephew who wants to try out new makeup. I think this would be really great. So next is kind of a regret. It's the Kylie Royal Peach palette. The reason it's a regret is because still that slight hint of chemicals that makes me kind of angry. The only real problem with this is that the shimmer shades are not great. These peachy shades in here are nice, but the shimmers are just not anything special. And for how much you pay for the palette, that's kind of an unacceptable thing. I did try to return this, but Kylie, as you guys know, doesn't do refunds, which has actually made me stop buying from her brand. I don't like a company that isn't willing to say, yeah, we made a mistake, and if you don't like this one, that's fine. So I've kind of stopped buying from Kylie since that whole thing happened. Okay, next. I got this at Forever 21, actually, randomly. It just says everyday. I really only bought it because it was like $7 and the packaging was cute. But these shadows are not bad. Like, you can't really clock. They're not horrible, actually. They're not like the best. But I don't know. I don't know who this would... I guess, for people who are just starting out in makeup, you don't need, like, the best quality eyeshadows. You just need stuff to play with and learn with. Okay. Next, we have this Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. It looks like this. I used to swear by this palette. I used to have it kind of almost as, like, ride or die status. But lately... I don't know. The shadows just don't perform as beautifully as I remember, and I think it's because this was one of the first few high-end palettes I owned. And I think I've just tried out so many better formulas since owning this. I'll always still probably keep this one just because I really do love the colors. They're right up my alley. But yeah, this formula is not as fantastic as I used to think it was. Okay, next we have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. This is the original. This is my second ever eyeshadow palette, and you can see I used it quite a lot, especially the shade Creme Brulee I used a ton. Oh no, it was Marzipan and then Creme Brulee. These two shimmer shades I'm just obsessed with. I never got into Champagne Truffle, which I know is like everyone's favorite, but I really like these two glitters here. I still use this and travel with this a lot because I think it's like the perfect neutral palette. This formula is definitely different from a Sweet Peach palette. This one performs like top quality. If you're going to get anything from that collection, I've used the Semi-Sweet and the Bon Bon. I don't own them, but I've used them, and this is still the best one. So if you are going to get a chocolate bar, I would get the original. Can't beat the original. All right, next I have the Modern Renaissance palette. It's so dirty because this packaging is impossible to keep clean. I don't really feel like I need to talk about this too much because it's been so raved about, but I, of course, love this palette. It's so beautiful and so pretty. I hated its sister, the Subculture. I have a review on that. I'll link it above. That palette was awful, but this one is like still, again, one I travel with, one of my favorites. If I ever hit pan on any of the shades, I would probably rebuy this palette just because I love every single shade and I love it so much. This is a really fantastic palette. All right, I'm going to pull these two out together. So this is my Lorac 2 and Lorac 3. I don't have the original, just never got around to buying it. This is really my only cool toned palette in my collection, like exclusively cool tone. So I always like to keep this to have a cool tone palette on hand. And these shades, of course, it's Lorac. They perform beautifully. The Pro 3, however, I really only keep for this shade called Terracotta, this mustard yellow color. All of these other shades I think are really pretty, but when I saw the palette, this is the one that drew me to it, so I really loved that one. I have the Urban Decay Naked 3, which I got for Christmas last year. This is a pretty palette. I wish I used it more. For some reason, I'm hoping in the spring I'll be a lot more drawn to it, and if I'm not, I am going to declutter this one because it's such an expensive palette, and to just be sitting here wasting away when another person could be using it just like isn't acceptable. Next is the Naked Smoky, which is brand new to my collection because I found it on sale at a Nordstrom rack. Looks like this, really smoky colors. I actually swatched this and thought it was beautiful, but I just haven't. I've been getting so much new makeup for the holidays and all the sales and stuff. I haven't quite got around to using it yet on my eyes, but I'm definitely going to make an effort to sometime this week, and maybe I'll review it for you guys if you're interested. I know this is kind of an old palette, but I still think it's kind of cool to see reviews. This is like so many memories right here. This is the very first palette I ever owned. I feel like this was everyone's first palette. It's the Urban Decay Naked. Especially all those shimmers, like your girl didn't know a matte when she was in high school, but she knew a shimmer. I've used pretty much all of these shimmer shades except these two I still have never touched, Gunmetal or Creep, the blue ones. But all these, nothing's really changed. The pinks and the golds and the browns and all of that I used religiously, like every single day. I really, really love this palette. It was the only one I had for so long. So this will always, I don't reach for it really anymore, but this will always kind of hold a special place in my heart. And I also have the Naked Heat, which I actually regret buying. I'm not going to lie. It's not that it's not good and that the shades don't perform well, because they definitely perform well. Like, they're pretty shades, but it's just such a, I think this has been said so many times, it's just a one-trick pony. Every single mixture of all of the colors, like every single mixture of all of these colors turns to the same look, and that just is very frustrating. Another Urban Decay palette I have is the Urban Decay Electric. This, on the other hand, is probably one of my favorite palettes of all time. I don't think I would ever get rid of this palette. It just is the best color palette. It's pretty much my only, I'm trying to think. Yeah, this is pretty much my only like all color palette. Yeah, I'll never get rid of this. I think this is a fantastic palette. Like, 1,000,000% love this palette. The pigmentation is just like out of this world beautiful. I promised myself I wouldn't swatch in this video, but okay. So next I want to show you guys the Kat Von D. I'm just kidding. This isn't the Kat Von D. Psych. It's the Kokie Professional Contour Kit, and it literally is the same as the Kat Von D. Nobody has ever talked about this dupe, so I don't know if I'm crazy in thinking it's a dupe, but the quality is so similar. It like shook me to my core. I saw this and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's a dupe, so I bought it because it was only $8 at Walmart. And even the formula is like the exact same. If you want the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, like, get this Kokie one because it's actually so phenomenally good, and it literally is the same thing. Speaking of the Kat Von D Shade and Light, she is right here. So this is the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. Hello. Looks like this. It looks identical to the palette I just showed you. This is, of course, a great palette. It's fine. It's not my favorite contour palette. We'll get to my favorite in a second, but it is a really nice contour palette to have. And I really do like this. I love the packaging too because it's just so like sleek. I don't know. This is the Kat Von D Shin Lit Eye Palette. I also really like this. I'm not going to lie, though. I don't reach for it that often. It's rare that I do an all matte look that's a neutral look. If I'm doing a neutral look, I tend to add a shimmer. So this just isn't one I reach for, but the white and the black shade, I 100% reach for individually all the time. Those are probably two I'm going to hit pan on in a little bit. But I really, really, really like this palette. I think it's a staple for every kind of makeup collection. This is a really good one to have. Last two for the bucket. So this is the Anastasia Lip Palette. Looks like... Oop! The brush just fell out. It looks like this. You can see I haven't used this like too much. But that's just because I'm not a professional makeup artist. I don't really know why I bought this in the first place. I probably shouldn't have. That was probably a regret purchase. But anyway... And then I have the cream contour, which was definitely a regret purchase because these are absolutely horrible. Trash. They don't blend. They blend out gray. The whites are not pigment. Like, this is just such a bad... I'm probably going to just throw this out because it's going to... Shelf month's 12 months. This is just going to dry out on me. I know it is. It's so... This is my everyday stuff right here, so I'm just going to go through this, kind of what I use and what I've really been obsessed with lately. And then there's a couple more up here that I'll show you guys. So this has been my, like... obsession lately. This is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette, and it looks like this. Oh, I just live. These are so. I almost didn't buy this too, which is crazy because now it's like my favorite. But I was like, no, you have enough peachy palette. I didn't have this one, and I needed it. This is such a pretty palette. I didn't even buy it for the smell. I really just bought it because those colors are like everything I ever want. This is the Tarte Blush Bliss Blush Christmas edition palette. I have been obsessed with this since I bought it. I did buy MAC Peaches on the holiday Black Friday, so this is kind of getting overshadowed by MAC Peaches, but these are just beautiful blushes. Tarte blushes will just never go out of style in my opinion. I think they're so wonderfully beautiful. I'll put these back here. So next is one of my Ride or Die palettes. It's the Tartelette Bloom. The reason this is Ride or Die, I don't want you guys to think if you buy this it's going to like change your life because Tarte palettes are so hard to show. It's definitely not going to change your life. But I have found kind of a combination of these shades in here that work for me. And the shade Funny Girl is my all-time favorite natural day shimmer. And I've just created a really pretty natural look with this palette like 1,000 times. I know how to work this palette. It always works for me. It always looks good. So that's why this is like holy grail status. Next is another one new to my collection. I got this on Black Friday. It is the Tarte Clay Play palette. So this, it's supposed to be for contour, eyebrows, and eyeshadow. I really just use it for contour and eyeshadow. I don't know where I'm supposed to do my brows. I don't use powder on my brows. But this shade is very red. So don't even try to put this on your face because it's going to make your face look red. These two combined are a really, really pretty contour palette if you're like a fair-skinned girl. I'm sorry I can't show this very well. It's very hard. And then this black is becoming my new favorite black because it is incredibly, incredibly buildable, which I love. I love a buildable black. If it's too intense in the first place, I'll never use it. This one is like gorgeous, gorgeous black. This is becoming one of my favorite kind of everyday neutral palettes. Next is the ColourPop Femme Rosa palette. I like this a lot. I wish it had almost just been an all shimmer palette and they just called it a day because you can only create one sort of look with all of these matte shades, but the shimmers in here are stunning, which definitely makes it worth the really low price tag. The only thing that sucks about this is you can't swatch it before you get it, and it's also smaller than you expect it to be. Just as a heads up for everyone. I know ColourPop eyeshadow palettes are typically small, but like my hand is bigger than this. Like it's a very small palette, but it's a nice palette. It's a really good one. It's a cute one, and I really like it. Next is my favorite palette of the moment. I wanted this for so long, and I finally was able to get my hands on it during the 20% off VIB Rouge sale, and I was just elated. I'm so, like, do you see this? I'm so obsessed with this freaking palette. I think I like looked at it for so long on the internet before I bought it, so I think that's why I'm obsessed with it. But like all of the textured shadows are beautiful. The mattes turn out gorgeous. Like this is just a stunning palette. This and the Just Peachy palette have been my most used palettes lately. Okay, so next we have another one from Black Friday. All of the Anastasia Glow Kits were 40% off, so I was going to pick up the Sun Dipped Glow Kit, but then I swatched this one and it just stole my heart. The Aurora Glow Kit is so pretty swatched. You look at it and you're like, that's pretty dumb, because who wants a blue? But it's not blue. It's like, It's like a crisp, it's just, I can't express to you guys how much I love this palette. I think it's so, so stunning. This is probably my favorite glow kit I own by her, and I own a couple now. So definitely would recommend this one. This is my favorite contour kit. This is the Anastasia contour kit in the shade light to medium. I'm going to have to get a new one soon because I'm running really low on the contour shades. Oh, I just love this. I think you can buy refills though, actually. That would be super great. I love this palette so much. There's a reason. I know it's kind of an older one, and I'm kind of late to the party on it because I bought it pretty recently, but I just loved, I use this every single day. I love this palette. I think it's so beautiful. Okay, next we have the Tarteist Pro palette. This was, I don't even want to show you guys. This was my favorite. There we go. This was my favorite for a little while over the summer because I loved the simplicity of being able to go across the rows and just kind of make a really, really quick, cohesive look. I had a really early class over the summer, so this was really great for that. But to be honest, I'm not really jamming with it anymore. I don't use it as much anymore. So that's why I put it in here to kind of remind myself, hey, you still paid $54 for this palette and you still really like it, so you should wear it. Next, I have the Tarteist Pro to Glow palette. I got this when it was on sale at Sephora for a weekly wow. I really like the contour shade in here. The highlighters are a bit chunky, but it's not too bad. Like, I'll still wear them and they're nice. This is a good travel palette. The cream contour basically becomes unusable. It's also very cool toned, which I don't love. And it does blend out nicely, I'll say. But it kind of is hard to use because the highlights fall into this, and that makes it really, really, really difficult for it to be a matte cream bronzer. It kind of just turns into a shimmer cream bronzer, which is annoying. So next is the Juvia's Place Masquerade palette, Masquerade Mini palette. Looks like this. I don't typically use these top shades unless I'm doing some sort of fun, crazy look, but these bottom shades, girl. Casablanca, this beautiful gold. Oh, I love this palette. I think this is such a cool palette. I'm hoping I get more Juvia's Places palettes in the future, but the most recent ones have not been particularly calling my name, so I'm kind of waiting to see if another more neutral one comes out, but these are really, really great shadows. Next is the new Anastasia Glow Kit. It's the Sugar Glow Kit. It sparkles. Looks like that. I had to repress this one when I was in Washington, D.C. for Thanksgiving because she cracked out of her pan when I dropped her. But the shades are Marshmallow Gumdrop, Butterscotch, and Starburst, and these are just beautiful highlighting shades. Again, Anastasia does really, really good job with highlighters. The only thing I will say is that they do emphasize texture quite a bit. So if you already have a ton of texture on your cheeks, I think there are better highlighters for you than this. Next is the Morphe 35, you can see from my ratchet labeling, Morphe 35O palette. It looks like this. I'm obsessed with it. Everybody loves it. I love it. It's a lot more cool toned than you'd think, but I actually really like that because you can mix it with these oranges to make it a lot more warm. This is a fantastic palette. I'll just leave it like this. This is the 3502. I'm going to do a video soon comparing the two of these. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm still trying to kind of figure them out. This is incredibly warm tone, as you can see with the reds. Really, really, really stunning shades in here. I've created some really, really, really pretty looks with this. I'm a fan of Morphe palettes, if you can't tell. This is 35P, all the purples. The biggest reason I love this palette is literally for this shade right here. I don't know if you can see how like duochrome and fantastic this shade is, but it is so pretty. The interesting thing about Morphe is that all of their palettes are pretty much set up the same. So you have your bright shadows over here, and then the rest of the palette just looks so dark. Like there's a bright shining beam of light right here, and then the rest is just like dull. These look a lot prettier in person. I don't think Morphe palettes photograph very well. And then the back here is my 35F palette. This was the first Morphe palette I ever got. I got it for Christmas, and I love this palette. I've used it to death. You can see it has like all the shimmers, and then this bottom row is all mattes. This is just such a cool palette. I think really, really good, again, for beginners. And now we just have some palettes up here. This is the Storybooks Cosmetics. I'm very excited about this one. Wizarding and Witchcraft palette. It's the Harry Potter palette, basically. Looks like this. I think this is, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Like, I love Harry Potter, like, a lot. I'm a Hufflepuff. So this is a really cool palette for me to just look at because it looks like Hogwarts to me. I don't know, something about like the greens and the blues and the reds and the yellows, like looks like Hogwarts. I haven't played with it too much. Oh, that was so scary because I've gotten a lot of other new palettes lately, but this one is definitely one I'm going to make a video on, I think, because I just love Harry Potter. It feels like a crime to not make a video. Next are my The Bomb palettes. I have the Meet Matrimony palette, which is honestly was one of my favorites. I haven't used it in a while, but these are just fantastic. I gotta like redo this in a little bit because some of these palettes I'm reminded how good they are. This is a fantastic neutral palette. Absolutely stunning, perfect, has every neutral color you'd need. This is a great palette. This is not a good palette. It's not that the color, like the formula is not horrible. It's not as good as the Matrimony, but it's so cool tone that you almost like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I use this yellow shade quite a bit, but other than that, they just don't make sense. There's nothing like, yeah, this isn't a good, I don't like this one. This one, I love. I love the Matrimony. That's a great one. Next is this Tarte High Performance Neutrals palette. I got it in a little set with a little mini lights, camera, lashes. It looks like this. This is actually a really, really nice neutrals palette. If you're looking to buy something for someone who's like younger and just wants to play with makeup, Tarte has a really, really good sets that are super ridiculously cheap. That set with this and the mascara I think was like 16 bucks. So Tarte is always a good place to go because they do have affordable options. This is the BH Cosmetics Wild Child palette. Looks like this. It's the baked eyeshadows. I think this is so cute and so pretty. I weirdly use this on my friends a lot more than I use it on myself, but I still think this is a really nice and pigmented palette. This is another one for my BoxyCharm. It's the Winky Lux Kitten palette. I like this a lot, actually, especially this shade right here. I'm going to try to swatch it for you guys. I don't know. Oh, no, it's this one. Sorry. I don't know if you can see the duochrome. I think you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can, but this shade right here is like a duochrome shade that's so stunningly beautiful. I want to do a halo eye with this palette, so let me know if you'd want to see that. I know Winky Lux is kind of a new brand, so I think it'd be cool to do a tutorial on their palette, let you guys know what's up with that. This is the Lashes by Lena Lemonade palette. If you haven't bought this, it's so slept on. I never hear anyone talking about this, and this is such a freaking good eyeshadow palette. If nobody, like, if you spend the $5 on this and you hate it, I'll refund you your $5. Like, this is a fantastic eyeshadow palette. Look at that. I use it almost every single day pretty much, and it's just so good. It's a little powdery, so if you hate that, you might hate that, but I personally don't mind a little bit of a powdery shadow. Earlier in the video, sorry my makeup is also messy, I'm very busy. Earlier in the video I talked about how certain palette I own has too much duochrome. This is that palette. I don't think I will ever be able to get through this amount of duochrome shades, which is sad because they're beautiful. Beautiful. These are beautiful eyeshadow palettes. I just don't know how, like, realistically, how much I'm going to be able to finish of this before it goes bad. What's the shelf life? It's already going to be exceeding its shelf life in, like, 2 or 3 months. So I just kind of feel like maybe I won't be able to finish. I don't throw makeup out when you're supposed to, but I just don't think I'm ever going to finish that, which is sad because it's pretty. Next is this Urban Decay Afterglow palette. This is the older one. It was on sale at Ulta a while back. You have the shade Bliss, Peroxide, and Not Safe for Work, and Side Piece. These are really pretty, but they do emphasize texture, again. So if you're not really into that, I wouldn't recommend this one. And then finally, it's so fitting that this is finally, because this little peanut butter jelly shade really made me, like, love neutral shades. It really got me into, like, I was like, you can put brown on your eyes and it looks good. I really love every single shade in here, except probably Jammin'. Jammin's not really my fave. But this was such a fun look, and I learned kind of how to use pops of colors. This was really a learning palette for me, and it was one of my favorites that I first got. So I really, really, really love this one. Oh, so cute. I love it. I don't buy the Too Faced 9 pans anymore, but if I did. So I actually think that's all of my makeup. I'm really excited to show you guys all of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, and I will see you later. Bye.